have another practice session technique that I think could be helpful for many of you. We've talked about before. You want to get enough speed that you're in time, but you also want to have your chords sounding good too, so everything rings out. So one of the difficulties that new guitar players have is, training muscle memory so that their fingers go to the right place without having to think about it very much, and that's really difficult at first. So the minute you take your fingers off the strings, you got to figure out, okay, how do they go on the strings for the next chord? How do I do that? How do I do that in time? How do I make it sound good? So the more I teach, the more I learn, and I've come up with a practice technique that I think might be helpful. And I think that if we concentrate on focus and intensity when we practice, that's really important. And even if you only practice for 15 minutes at a time, you can get a lot done if you're focused and you have intensity. And one way to do that is to focus on trying to get the chords, got to get them changed in time, try to get them right. And one of the things that you can do is to start out, let's say if we're just doing the G, C, and D, which is a chord progression that we concentrate on because it's the key of G and it's the 1, 4, 5, the major chords in the key of G, and you can make a song with it. So if you're playing the G chord, first of all, you want to make sure that you get it sounding good, and you have to adjust your hand. Notice how I'm moving my hand. Sometimes for some chords, I bring my hand all the way down so it's perpendicular to the neck. You can't really see that very well. You can see if I hold it that way, as opposed to, see how I move my hand. So you got to move your hand. So you got to move it up and down, and you're moving your elbow actually closer to the neck to get to the position, especially on a G chord, because what happens a lot in the G chord is this ring finger that plays the root note of the G. Sometimes if it's at an angle, it hits the fifth string and it deadens it. You don't want that. You want it to ring out. Whoop. So one thing that you can do to help learn how to get the chords and get them in time is just to do a simple exercise where you get your G, for example, you get it sounding good, and then you can use a metronome or you can just count to yourself and do something as simple as this. You hit the chord and you count 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice I'm taking my fingers off the strings because I want to be able to put them back again. And that's good practice. What happens with the new guitar players, as soon as you take your fingers off the string, your brain kind of freaks out and you don't know, what am I going to do? How do I get back? So this is good training to get your fingers back in the right place to play the chord. So you can do a very simple exercise where you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can even slow it down if you have to. And what you want to do is on the 1, you want to strum the chord and then take your fingers off for the 2, 3, 4 so that you can get back again. So that teaches you to take your fingers off the strings, back on again in the right place and play the chord. So you can slow it down as slow as you want. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And eventually you can work up to a metronome, start at 40 and do 40 beats or 4 beats per beat on the metronome so that you have plenty of time. And the idea is you want to work your way up so that you can go to a point where you can pull the fingers off, but right back again, right back on the note, right back on and do that with the same thing with the C, and same thing with the D. So maybe you do 50 times this way. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4, and just keep that up and do it, 50 times or as many times as you're comfortable. You could do it 10 times and then change the C and do it 10 times, and then change the D and do it 10 times. But I think you ought to do it at least 20 times for each chord, then come back, do it 20 more times, then do it 10 more times. But if in one session, if you do all of them at least 50 times that way, it's going to help start to train you to get your fingers back to the right place and hit the chord properly. And then when you're done with that, then do your changing the chords, and you can do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think that would be a big help to get your brain trained, get that muscle memory that you need to have your fingers in the right place to place the chord without having to think about it, without having to freak out every time you take your fingers off the strings and going, oh, well, how am I going to get back? You're going to get back because you've trained yourself over and over and over and over again to get those fingers in the right place. So it takes intensity and it takes focus. So and it only takes 15 minutes. If you don't, I don't know how long you're practicing a day, but if you could get at least an hour in a day, that would be fantastic. But you don't have to do it all at once. You could do it in 15-minute intervals. So you got your guitar out, take it, go 15 minutes, work on this exercise, and then come back maybe later on the day and do it again, do it 4 times, and you got an hour. So however you want to do it, it's up to you, of course. But I think just practicing playing the chord and hovering over it with your fingers off the string and back again will go a long way in helping you develop that muscle memory you need to play the chords and play them quickly and play them in time to make music.